good morning and welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach is here, and Calvin Butenhoff coming to you live from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. I do think it's important that we start off today's program by acknowledging our resident young person has a birthday today. Calvin. Happy birthday, Calvin.
Thank you, Jane.
26 years old.
Yes.
He's going to be resident, not young person anymore.
Well, I think he still qualifies as young person.
When's the cutoff?
Yeah,
Oh,
is
that's
that
the-
the
oh,
cutoff?
that's it?
No, when
Next-
is? I'm asking.
So this is your last year of your mid-20s. Next year begins your late 20s. 7, 8, and 9
Or the late
are the
20s.
late 20s.
So then he can no longer be considered a young person?
Resident younger person.
Resident younger person. Well,
Yeah.
well, as of today, he is still our resident
Yes.
young person, Calvin. Happy birthday, Calvin. And if you would like to drop a note for Calvin, wish him a happy birthday, please do so. Text it in at 855-752-4842 or leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. 6 days to go. Collective breaths. Take a breath, everyone. 6 days to go until the election. We have a very busy show coming up today. Dr. Kristen Lyerly, running in the 8th Congressional District, is going to be joining us at 10:33. Dr. Laura Hanks will be here for public service announcement. And among several things we're going to talk about with Dr. Hanks, we're going to talk about prostate cancer.
Yes.
And this strikes very close to her. She just suffered a loss in her family from someone who passed from prostate cancer. And I know that this is a scary thing.
Yeah. Yes.
And it affects a lot of men. So we will be discussing prostate cancer coming up at 11:33. And as we always do now, we wrap up the show with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Today, the Payless edition. You'll want to stick around for it, I promise you.
Oh.
Also, next Tuesday,
Yes.
6 days from now, we are going to have special election night coverage all across Civic Media starting at 6 o'clock. Pete Schwaba and me and Earl Ingram, I believe, will be transitioning from 6 to 8 p.m. when Pat Kreitlow and Todd Alba will be taking over with the coverage. Of course, Dan Schaefer will be there from the recombobulation area and also the Civic Media political director, political editor, essentially. So join us starting at 6 o'clock right after Dom Salvia next Tuesday. And we don't know how long it's going to go. It could be a long, long night as we wait for results to come in because there are going to be many ballots to count.
Yes.
So please, if things aren't resolved by the time you go to bed at midnight, don't freak out. There are no ballot dumps. It's not how it happens.
This happened last time in 2020.
It did. It did. Larger municipalities, shockingly, it takes them longer to count ballots the more there are.
Yeah.
That's why ballots come in late. And the other reason why our Senate, a Republican-controlled Senate here in Wisconsin, decided that no, we didn't need to start counting those ballots the day before. Why would we do such a
What
thing,
a
Greg?
silly Billy thing to do.
Yeah, that would have been foolish. So that's why they cannot start counting ballots until Election Day at, I believe, 7 a.m.
Thanks, Devin Lemahue.
Yeah. So anyway, let's start off. And a shout out to
Nicole from Madison.
Nicole from Madison for coming up with
Quick, who made Job on the Musk?
Scott
From?
Sherwood.
Done.
See, I can remember things.
I know
It
you
just
can.
Takes me a little while. Credit to Nicole from Madison for coming up with our new favorite nickname for Elon Musk. It's a Putz de Leon. It's so good. It's just so good.
Jane, I'm a comedian. You know this, right? There's a thing that happens to comedians when they hear things like this. There's part of them that's like, that's really funny. And then the other part's like, I hate you.
I wish
for
that had
coming
been
up.
mine.
Putz de Leon.
Putz de Leon is so good. Thank you for that, Nicole. Yeah, we're going to talk about the economy, and we hear so much about kitchen table issues.
Yes.
And that's a real thing.
Yes.
It is, definitely. Groceries are expensive. Gas prices are coming down,
Mm-hmm.
but mortgage rates are still high.
School is expensive.
School is expensive. Childcare is very expensive. And this all is obviously all tied in together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've talked a lot about Donald Trump's tariffs plans. We just talked to James Vanderloo last week,
Mhm.
who works in international shipping,
Yeah.
and explained how, yes, tariffs are essentially going to fall on us as consumers.
Something he said that I will never forget now was that if Donald Trump comes to power and these tariffs go through, the next day he is going to be on the phone with American industries
Yes.
on moving their businesses out of the countries affected by these tariffs.
Think about that and the ramifications of that.
Yeah. And I bet you some businesses might not survive either.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. We're seeing more and more economists weigh in on this and what tariffs will do.
mhm.
And it does not appear to be the plan that Donald tariffs don't work like Donald thinks they do.
No, they don't. They do not. They pardon the phrase, they screw over us.
Yes, they really do.
He thinks it's some tactic against them, which if I was other countries, I'd still be like, you think they're going to do this to us. They're not. But still, that's not how you build partnerships.
No, we need. I'm sorry, but we can't just go it all alone, my friends. We are in this all together globally.
Yes.
It is a global economy.
Yeah.
Well, now, Putz de Leon, Donald Trump has said he's going to put him in charge of cost cutting or something. So he's going to be slashing government programs left and right. Well, Putz de Leon said in a town hall phone conversation last Friday, people better prepare themselves and buckle down. Calvin, can we play that first clip, please, from Putz de Leon?
I don't know if we have the clip available right now.
He's looking for it.
Okay.
Calvin, did I forget the link? It should be in the files.
Okay.
We have to reduce spending to live within our means. That necessarily involves some temporary hardship, but it will ensure long-term prosperity.
Temporary hardship.
Nothing I love better than when a billionaire says we have to spend within our means.
Absolutely. Elon also retweeted this, and this was on Twitter yesterday. Commenter says, if Trump succeeds in forcing through mass deportations, combined with Elon hacking away at the government, firing people, and reducing the deficit, there will be an initial severe overreaction in the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Markets will tumble. But when the storm passes and everyone realizes we're on sounder footing, there will be a rapid recovery to a healthier, sustainable economy. History could be made in the coming 2 years. So it sounds to me like we're looking at 2 years of economic hardships.
Yeah.
And because Elon, again, reposted this and said, yep, that sounds about right.
Yep. And if you think grocery prices are high now and you think all the things that are in your line side of finance, as far as whether it's school or mortgage or childcare, guess what? It's only going to get harder with, by the way, no guarantee that it will get better. It's one guy saying in 2 years' time, it will recover. Well, are you putting together recovery packages like President Biden did? Are you putting together spending plans that will invest money that will bring ROI? You're just going to cut. Who's that going to benefit?
Well, and these austerity measures.
Yeah.
Didn't Venezuela just do that?
They never work in Europe. They don't.
It's been tried.
That's why you saw the massive shift in the parliament in Great Britain, because 14 years of austerity, the people said enough, and with overwhelming voice said, get out. So do you want that? Do you want 14 years of austerity? Do you want 14 years? Does that sound good to you?
Critics argue that this plan prioritizing austerity over growth could destabilize the economy, deepen inequality, impact essential services for millions of families who rely on public support. But Putz de Leon and Donald Trump's perspective, this is from Midas Touch, by the way, appears to frame these hardships just as collateral damage in a broader strategy for long-term prosperity.
Well, folks, buckle in. You might be collateral damage. He said that that hate rally, I'm going to call it that, at MSG, he said he could cut $2 trillion.
Where do folks think that's going to come from?
Yeah, it's going to come from the people who need it the most, the American citizens, the ones who need help.
Trust me, Elmo's not going to take any give up any tax breaks.
No.
That's not going to happen.
No.
Washington Post with a big headline this morning: companies ready price hikes to offset Trump's global tariff plans. That came out today. Producers of a range of items, including clothing, footwear, baby products, auto parts, hardware, say they will pass along the cost of the tariffs to their American customers.
Which is exactly how it works.
The planned price increases next year would come as consumers are starting to enjoy relief from the highest inflation in 4 decades and directly contradicts Trump's repeated assurances that foreigners will pay the tab.
Just like they paid for, what was that big thing in Texas? The wall.
The wall.
That's right. We're still waiting for, we sent them one of those booklets with all the pay coupons in them. I haven't gotten one yet.
No.
Back. No. In fact, there were some really nasty things said in Spanish on them. They're like, what we could do to ourselves. But yeah, I don't understand how anyone thinks this is going to be good. Oh, by the way, is Elon Musk going to give away his hundreds of millions, probably billions of dollars in contracts with the federal government now that he'll be an employee? This is clearly conflict of interest. He shouldn't be getting government money.
He shouldn't be getting government contracts.
Let's cut some of those.
The government.
Let's cut some of those too while we're at it.
That seems a little twitchy.
Yep.
You want to chime in on this? Are you looking forward to paying tariffs?
Yeah.
855-752-4842. You are listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Just don't know what else to do about it. Jane said,
Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Dr. Slide on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine, Wisconsin. You can always join us. You can call, you can text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, or the platform that Jabba the Musk continues to actively ruin. Coming up after the 10:30 news, Dr. Kristen Lyerly will be here. She's running in the 8th Congressional District against Tony Weed. We'll kick around things with Dr. Lyerly, find out how things are going in the 6 days that remain before Election Day.
Once again.
We were talking about Putz de Leon,
AKA Jabba the Musk, AKA
Leon, Elon Musk. Yeah, he basically admitted that there's going to be hardship. Once Donald Trump is elected, there's going to be economic hardship. Elon Musk, the world's richest man, says if Trump wins and gives him a role in government, Americans will suffer hardship as a result of efforts to address the national debt. He says, most importantly, we have to reduce spending to live within our means, adding this will involve some temporary hardship, but will ensure long-term prosperity. Of course, that hardship isn't going to affect him, right?
No, of course not. He's worth $200+ billion.
Yeah, Elon's going to be fine.
Living within his means is like owning a private planet.
Yeah.
I said this years ago too, when everyone was falling over themselves on how cool Elon was. I'm like, this guy is a low rent Bond villain, and now he's doing exactly what I said he was going to do. And I don't enjoy being right on this one. He's worming his way into the government, and if he gets his hands on some secretary of cost cutting,
yeah,
what are we doing?
Seriously. 855-752-4842 if you want to check in on this. Bill from Oconomowoc is on the line. Good morning, Bill. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, good morning. Say, I want to be a little bit off on the side. I've got a point I want to make. I don't care who wins anymore, but I'm voting for Kamala. Here's why I don't care. Thanks to Newt Gingrich, we've got clowns like Trump in office. Newt started this. It's Newt's baby, but again, that's Newt. If he's elected, Kamala has to certify him. Now, she's a federal prosecutor. She knows the law inside and out better than Trump ever will. She might decline, or she might lay it in the Supreme Court's lap like they did with Bush and say, what gives here, boys? We have a convict, a 36-count convicted felon running for office, and according to the Constitution, he's not eligible.
It's not true. He can still run and win. There's nothing in the Constitution, I believe, that says that, because they've tried covering this before. He can run, he can win, and he can pardon himself on federal crimes. Also, really quick correction, it's Kamala. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bill.
Yeah,
really
we
appreciate it. We were talking tariffs, though.
Yeah.
Just about tariffs. And again, the Washington Post, we'll put this in the show notes. You should read the article. Washington Post saying essentially companies are now preparing to raise prices to cover their costs of these tariffs, which then means we get to pay for them. Kathleen from Berlin is on the line. Good morning, Kathleen. Thank you for joining us. What did you want to say?
Good morning. Well, everything that Trump's campaign does for him, he keeps saying is a love fest, right?
Yep.
It's they do it out of love, but they're doing it out of love for Trump because Trump wants to see us suffer. That is his. I tell you, that's how he sees. He enjoys watching us suffer. I really believe that.
Well, and you know the other thing I think too, Kathleen, I think Donald Trump enjoys seeing how far he can push people to drop their integrity. I do. I think he enjoys seeing how far he can push people to do the wrong thing.
Especially turn on their own belief. Like, perfect example, J.D. Vance.
Yes.
J.D. Vance.
Thank you, Kathleen. Really appreciate it. We're talking about tariffs and the effect it's going to have on all of us because, my friends, we are going we are going to be the ones who pay for it.
Yeah, that's just, I mean, that's not a speculation at all. There's no story you've read, there's no pundit you've listened to, nothing Trump, Elon, anybody who has said that this will be anything other than us paying through austerity, through raised prices on goods or taxes. I mean, it's really going to come at us in every which way direction.
Well, and they tried austerity, a similar austerity program as far as slashing things
Yeah.
to balance the budget in Kansas when Sam Brownback was governor.
Correct.
They broke Kansas,
Yep.
essentially.
Yeah.
Fire services, EMT services, schools, roads, you name it. I understand the need. We can't keep spending, but this will have the... how many months of growth have we seen under the Biden administration?
10 quarters.
10 quarters
Yeah.
of growth.
Yep.
The stock market is going gangbusters.
Trump's own stock is at $50 plus. It's like $52.
Wow, it was down to like $13.
Yes, which by the way, I have some thoughts on that. 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, it was $13. It's $51. There's something hinky going on there.
Some little manipulation,
Yeah.
perhaps. Well, if you would like to learn more about tariffs, I highly encourage you to go to civicmedia.us, click on the shows button, go to our show, go to Matenaer On Air. James Vanderloo was on last week.
Fiday, I believe.
On
yeah.
Friday, we talked about tariffs. He works for a locally based company that does international shipping, and I think he has firsthand direct experience with this kind of thing, with tariffs.
And he works in the industry. He's not a professor. He's not some
Right. No, he works
crispy liberal.
in it, yes.
He's a guy who just sees the numbers. This was Friday, October the 25th in the first hour of the show.
James Vanderloo, it's a great conversation. If you don't understand how it all works, I think you'll learn a lot. So check that out at civicmedia.us. All right, news is coming up next. Dr. Kristen Lyerly will be here when we return. Stay close. You are listening to Matenaer On Air on the statewide, countrywide, global, if you're on the app, Civic Media Radio Network.
Hear what I say. It's money that matters in the USA. It's money that matters. Now you know that it's true. It's money that matters. Whatever you do.
Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, the Calvinator on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine, Wisconsin. You can always join us. You can call, you can text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. 6 days. 6 days away until the election. We are having special election night coverage starting next Tuesday at 6 p.m. I will be there along with Pete Schwaba, Earl Ingram, Pat Kreitlow, and Todd Alba taking over at 8 p.m. So I hope you will join us. We will be covering everything from the presidential race to the Senate races to all the way down the ballot. There's lots and lots of very important folks on the ballot this time around, including our next guest. Running in the 8th Congressional District, Dr. Kristen Lyerly is here. Good morning, Kristen. How are you? It's been a while.
Baby, we were born to run. I'm having a blast, Jane. This is so much fun.
How are you doing that? I am so stressed out. Seriously, I'm so sweaty.
Yeah, okay, here's why. I was having this conversation with Kristen Bry the other night. She said, in Milwaukee, everybody's stressed out. We're all feeling like this is very heavy. It's hard. It is. It's really hard. I get it. The tension is palpable. There's a lot going on, and it's ugly. I feel like here in northeastern Wisconsin, where we've been feeling this tension for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, remember, we were the victims of the most grossly gerrymandered maps in the country. We're feeling hopeful. We might not be bringing everything home all at once, but the work that we're doing is absolutely incredible. We are having conversations with people in places where we haven't been able to have conversations for a very long time. And frankly, these conversations are telling me that people are mobilizing. People are tired of the ugliness. People want something different. I have hope.
People want things to get done.
Mm-hmm.
People are tired of some of our elected officials approving money or mandating programs and then sitting on said money and not doing their jobs, which is supposed to be serving their constituents. And I do think Wisconsinites and a lot of even across the country, people are tired of the gridlock. People are tired of the least productive house in human history, and they're ready for changes because they want some stuff to get done.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about PFAS relief. You know,
Yes.
up here in Marinette, it's the third most contaminated PFAS site in the entire country. People are drinking bottled water. They want relief, and that money is sitting there.
Yeah.
But because of political gridlock, they aren't getting the relief that they need. And you know what? They know it. So when we're talking to people in Peshtigo and Marinette, they know that their legislators are not working for them.
What
They
did
know
say-
it.
What did they say to you?
They're angry. They're ready for change. And when I show up at their door, when Andy Rich shows up at their door, she's running for state senate up there. When Ben Murray shows up, they say, I will support you because I believe in you. You are here. You are talking to me. I haven't heard from my legislator and I haven't ever heard from them, but you're here and I believe you. So let's do this.
That is something we have heard from many people running for office right now, is the knocking on the doors, hearing from these individuals who are running, whether they be incumbent or opponents. They're really listening to the people, and the people react to that. It's like, oh, you're at my door. People, I mean, I think Luann Bird was talking to last week about a gentleman who basically, like she said, was not going to vote for me, but then we started talking and the conversations happen and people get set in their mind on where they are with their politics and their vote because they never get a chance to sit down with anyone running for office. And these conversations, Dr. Lyerly, that you are having are game changing for people, for the citizens.
They are, up here in northeastern Wisconsin, but I think it's much the same around the state. We are not red and we are not blue. We are green and gold.
Right.
We love the Packers. We love that sense of community, and we want a government that functions for us, that brings prices down, that makes gas affordable, that makes healthcare accessible, and something where we can we can get the prescription drugs that we need. We can go to the doctor when we have a problem instead of putting off our health care. It's not working for us right now, and we're just tired of it. And when we show up, we know we can win these voters over because they trust us because we're there.
Well, and just the fact, again, we've talked about the ground game a little bit and how important it is to have that face-to-face contact with people, especially when you have electeds who have been in their office for years and years, don't hold town halls, don't hold, you're screened if you want to be part of their phone town hall. They don't respond to phone calls.
Nope.
They don't respond to issues. People have had it. And that's one of the reasons why I think we wanted to get rid of the gerrymandered maps, because people are sick of these politicians being in these cozy little spots where they've got their all locked up. No matter how people vote, it's all going to land their way, and they don't have to do anything except go on vacation for 10 months.
Right. And I think another reason that people are feeling really hopeful is that it's been so hard for so long. And now that that change is in the air, they want to be part of it. And I'll give you an example. We were driving through the country yesterday, and we drove by this farmhouse that had a Baldwin sign and a Harris sign. And I thought, well, they need a Lyerly sign. So we pulled into the driveway, and there was a couple out there, and I gleefully jumped out of the truck and I said, "Hey, I'm Kristen Lyerly. I think you could use one of my signs." And immediately the tension was palpable. And he started grumbling about 20 million illegals. And she pulled me aside and said, "So we're not on the same page here. He is a Trumper and so is my son. But I was a nurse and I was a member of the Sierra Club. And I'm putting my foot down finally, because if I don't do it now, it's never going to happen." And that's one example of what's happening. These are the conversations we're having all over the place. I was at a biker bar in Gillette yesterday, and some folks walked out, and we sat and chatted for a while. They already are supporting me. We're giving people that sense of hope that they are so desperate for.
Well, and I think too, and not to defeat you before you even get elected, but if we are not happy with the results of this election, then you vote the new representatives out. That's the whole point of having maps and having elected officials who are accountable to you. Not, again, that they're all snugly in their safe little seats, that they never have to respond to anything.
You bring up a great point, Jane. It's not like everything ends on November 5th. November 5th is a day in time, but November 6th is a whole other day.
Yes.
That's where we stop, we survey the landscape, and we decide where do we go from here. And that's another beautiful thing about the people who are running in Northeast Wisconsin and across much of the state. This isn't about a seat. This isn't just about winning a campaign. This is about how can I change things for the better in my community. And I'll tell you right now, I think I'm having a blast because I know that regardless of what happens with the outcome of this election, because of the ground that we've gained and the sense of community that we've instilled across the region, we're going to continue building. So win or lose, you're not getting rid of me. I'm going to be here.
Oh, Dr. Lyerly, we never for a moment in time, as you would say, think we would have gotten rid of you either way. We know you're going to be around happily, and we appreciate that too. I mean, the energy you bring, and I just was thinking about this as Jane was talking just before, was that Wisconsin really has it like we're getting, I don't want to say duped, but you have a medicine legislation that's on vacation for 10 months. You have the least performing Congress in history in Washington. All we want are people who want to get the work done. And honestly, if those people are Republicans, great. Awesome.
Yes.
Come together, sit in each other's offices, hammer out some details, compromise, get on the floor and vote and help the people. And it's energy like yours and other people we've spoken to that really shows that we're moving in that direction. All we have to do is get it past the finish line there on November the 5th. For 6 days from now, 6 days from now, vote. That's all I'm saying. Vote.
Yes.
If you're just joining us, Dr. Kristen Lyerly is our guest. She is running for Congress in the 8th Congressional District. We have a comment on the live stream from, I'm sorry, wrong one. It was about Alicia. Alicia, it's about our neighbors. We are committed to working for our neighbors. And to Kristen, something that we've talked about a lot is share what you know when it comes to issues. If you are informed about, say, the constitutional amendment that is on this November 5th ballot, And if you know about it, we've talked about it a lot. You can go to the League of Women Voters Wisconsin. There's a whole toolkit there. Get informed, become knowledgeable, and then take it to your neighbors, take it to your friends, and share what you know.
Talk about the issues. Don't talk about the politics. Don't open your conversation with, I vote for Democrats, but start the conversation with, this is a really confusing referendum question. What does it actually mean? How will it actually impact us? Those are the things that actually people want to talk about. They don't want more division. They don't want more of the things that prevent us from having conversations. We want more conversations. I'm super excited about Halloween. I'm so excited because all my kids are going to be here and my whole campaign team is going to be here. We're going to throw some soup on the stovetop and trick-or-treaters are going to come over and we're going to hand out candy to these kids and we're going to wave at their parents, maybe hand out a couple beers and just like, that's what we do. It's our thing. And we're just going to just be together as a community. We're not going to talk about politics. We're just going to be generous with each other. I love that.
You're going to give candy to all the children.
All of them.
No matter how their parents might vote.
Yes, unless they have an ugly political T-shirt on that I disagree with, which there have been times where I've turned kids away.
Can we not put shirts with obscenities on them on our children? Is that too much to ask?
I don't know.
If
I
you're
thought
really,
that
if
shirt
you're
was pretty
12
obnoxious.
and you have an
Yeah, no.
FJB shirt on, you are not going to get candy from my
No.
house. No.
well, and I've seen a couple other versions of Joe and the, it's like, really?
No.
You put that on your 9-year-old and that makes you proud?
No.
Hey, that's the role model that you're bringing up with your kid. Cool, good on you. I can't wait to see them getting bailed out of jail. One of the things, Dr. Lyerly, you're talking about, don't come with the politics or say, hey, vote for Kamala because of this. I think there's a way of saying, especially with this referendum or the ballot measure, is this is how it's going to affect all of us, not just me, not just you, because this is for all of us and it will affect us in X, Y, and Z. This is why I want you to know, because I want you to be as informed as I am on the matter, because this we see it as a slippery slope. And it's the start to throwing up barriers in front of our voting rights.
Narrowing who qualifies for this definition. Again, we're talking about the constitutional amendment that is on the November 5th ballot. They want to change one word from every U.S. citizen to only U.S. citizens. Brought to you by ALEC, by the way. Brought to you by ALEC. This measure is on the ballot in 9 different states.
Yep.
So this is a very concerted effort, again, to open the door to narrow the definition of who is going to be considered an American citizen and allowed to have the right to vote.
As if it isn't already hard enough to vote in Wisconsin. We are one of the hardest states to vote in already. We need to make it easier to vote, and I'll say easier and safer. This is a great state to vote in. We do a wonderful job of making sure that our elections are safe and secure, and we will continue to do that. So you can trust the results of the election when it happens on November 5th. But we also need to continue to use technology and continue to make sure that people who want to vote have access to vote. It is the fundamental right for all of us as Americans.
And I was going to say, if you're someone listening to us right now who vehemently disagrees with us, as we've got the disagreeers in the comments and on the phone lines from time to time, Robin Voss, your dude in Madison, Speaker of the Assembly, Popcorn King, said that the 2020 election was safe, secure, and that's it. After an investigation that found not a zip zilch funded by your tax money.
Yeah. Over $1 million we shelled out for that Gableman investigation that found no evidence of voter fraud.
There it is.
Dr. Kristen Lyerly is our guest. We're going to continue our conversation right after this. Stay close. You are listening to Matenaer On Air on the Civic Media Radio Network.
We're gonna get to that place where we really wanna glow as we walk in the sun. But till then, chance like us, maybe we were born to run. Honey, chance like us, maybe we were born to run. Come on with me, chance like us, maybe we were born to run. Whoa, whoa.
good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Sweet Calvi on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine, Wisconsin. You can always join us. Call or text 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. We have the 11 o'clock news coming up. After that, we will come back with To Err is Human, to Offer a Correction Divine. We made a mistake yesterday, so we're going to address that. I think that's an important thing to do.
I do too.
That's how much the doctor said I weighed. That's what I told you, and it's fine.
Dr. Kristen Lyerly is our guest. She is running in the 8th Congressional District here in Wisconsin. I did want to talk about this, Dr. Lyerly. It's another terrible story, and unfortunately, I think there are more of these than we're ever going to hear about. But Gisele Barnica was in a Houston hospital in September of 2021. She was 17 weeks pregnant. She had a miscarriage in progress. At this point, doctors could have offered to speed up the delivery or empty her uterus to stave off an infection. That's more, according to more than a dozen medical experts talking to ProPublica. When her husband got to her side from his construction job, she said the medical team told her they had to wait until there was no heartbeat. It would be a crime to give her an abortion. For 40 hours, they waited. She got sepsis. 3 days later, she died.
Yeah.
This is what the Trump abortion ban has done, what Donald Trump calls a beautiful thing, sending it back to the states. And there are more stories like this one.
I've been in this situation. Fortunately, my patient didn't die, but I've been in a situation in a state actually that doesn't have an abortion ban, but because it's not just about the legality, but it's also about what a hospital is willing to do and the image that the hospital is willing to take on because of the ugliness, the chilling effect of abortion as a societal issue. I mean, this morning I got a call from a friend who just had her anatomy scan, 20 weeks, and her desired pregnancy is not going to survive. And she's devastated and heartbroken. And do you know what she's dealing with right now, Jane? Because of the law in Wisconsin, which is based on dating a pregnancy by post-fertilization age, that is not a scientific term, and it's not a term that we use as physicians, but that's the way the law from just a few years ago is written. She's concerned that she's going to have to make a decision very quickly before she's ready because she's not going to be able to get abortion care that she needs because of the way that the law is written.
Because it will be too late.
Because it'll be too late. And if it's too late, then she may have to travel to another state where it'll be more expensive. She won't have support. She'll need more childcare. It's just it's so not just about the women, but the families and the communities that support them. This is not healthcare.
No, it's not. It's intentionally withholding healthcare.
Yes. Yeah.
And listening to you doctors talk about it, it's also the doctors and the medical staff too who just want to do their job and help people.
We just want to take care of our patients, and that's what our patients want. And we put people when they're suffering and their hearts are broken in impossible situations.
It's so. I heard from so many men, even when the leak came out that Dobbs was going to be overturned. Oh, women are going to let this go. They're going to get over it. We haven't gotten over it.
No.
I'd like to meet some of those men, please.
I can point you to a couple.
Thank you.
We haven't gotten over it. And I think I'm 64. And for myself, and certainly for my sisters who are in their early 70s, before Roe was legal, they have friends who went through horrific experiences. Mm-hmm. And they don't want to go back to that because they were there and they saw it happen. And I think for a lot of older women in this country, that's where they are. They remember what it was like.
Contrary to what J.D. Vance says, postmenopausal women are incredibly important. Then every postmenopausal woman that I talk to, I have honestly not talked with an older woman who has said, I don't care about this issue. And for many women who are beyond reproductive age, this is their number one issue. And it may be because they lived through a time when they remember, but they also, I think, feel like it is our job, and I'm in that club, it is our job to take care of the generations that come behind us. And we recognize that we have not been as powerful and as forthright as we need to be. We have to now.
We have to now. No one knows how you vote when you go in the voting booth.
Mm-hmm.
No one knows how you vote. Your vote is private. Vote your conscience.
Exactly.
Dr. Kristen Lyerly is running in the 8th Congressional District. Have a good 6 days.
Oh, girl, we're having a blast.
Yeah.
Someone wants to know what kind of beers you're handing out for Halloween and where and your address, Mike in Green Bay. So send that to me and I'll send it to Mike.
Fair Maps,
drive
Manaqua Brewing Company. That's what we got.
There you go. Now you know. Dr. Kristen Lyerly, thank you so much. News is next. Keep it here on the Civic Media Radio Network. Thanks, Kristen.
Thank you.
Feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. The love is too high, bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Hey, hey, hey. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm
Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Calvin Butenhoff coming to you live from our studio at Radio Park in Racine, Wisconsin. You can always join us. You can call, you can text at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform that Jabba the Musk continues to actively ruin. And if you have the Civic Media app, you can also download the Civic Media app if you don't have it yet. And you can call and text directly to any show that you're listening to across the Civic Media radio network, whether you're in Oshkosh, you want to listen to a show in Green Bay. Download the Civic Media app. It's absolutely free. You can find it wherever you get your apps. And a reminder, Todd Alba, our friend and colleague, out on the road with the What Makes Wisconsin Great tour continues today. This is great. They're going to be at the Norski Nook.
I am so mad.
Are you jealous? They're at the Norski Nook in Osseo today. How many pies can Todd consume in one day? Tune in to find out. Todd's also going to be joined by Trygve Olsen of the Lincoln Project, Reed Galen of the Union, and other local guests. So catch Todd's show today from noon to 2 p.m. at the Norski Nook in Osseo. If you're up there, stop by and see him. I know they would love that.
Even if Todd wasn't there, if you're in Osseo, go to Norski's Nook. You're going to have the heaviest pie you're ever going to have in your life. It's so good.
What is the favorite pie? Is there a favorite pie?
The 2 times I've been there, I had a cherry pie and I had a blueberry pie.
Oh,
I kept it real
ooh.
simple.
Cherry is classic.
Yeah, I didn't want to go too over but they got a lot of great pies, but I wanted to go simple. And cherry or blueberry, I mean, you're just going to... It gets your mind. It gets your mind off the fact there are 6 days until election.
It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine.
Oh, it will be. Okay.
It will. Coming up after 10:30, Dr. Laura Hanks will be here with public service announcements, and we will wrap up the show as we always do now with This Shouldn't Be a Thing, Payless edition.
No, you're not getting free shoes.
Someone said there are samples. But we'll talk about that around 11:51. Stick around for Tisbat, or This Shouldn't Be a
Trying
Thing.
to make that up.
I'm trying to make it a thing. It's never going to be a thing.
Never going to be on a t-shirt.
Okay, we were talking a lot yesterday about the election, 6
Yes.
days, as Greg just mentioned,
Yeah.
and what to do if you still have an absentee ballot. So now they are saying, don't put it in the mail.
Yeah.
It's October 30th. The last time to really get it in was yesterday, if you were going to mail it.
Yeah.
Now, according to this article in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, you can bring it to your polling place on Election Day or your community central count location, put it in a drop box, drop it off at your clerk's office, or bring it to an early voting location. We got an email yesterday on Jane Says.
Yeah.
So if you ever have a guest or a topic or a complaint, send it to Jane Says, JaneSays, Jane Says at civicmedia.us. Got this email from Todd Stiles, and I called him this morning to make sure that he was cool with us talking about this. Todd Stiles emailed us and said, I'm a chief election inspector in De Pere. We just had a chief inspector meeting, and we will not accept in-person absentee ballot drop-offs.
Okay.
They must be dropped off at City Hall before 8 p.m., or you can vote in person and then destroy or spoil, it's called spoiling your ballot, in the polling place. So this is De Pere. He said, I just wanted to clarify that I've heard you talking about this, but saying you can drop it off at your polling place. Perhaps some allow that, not all do.
So that's why I think from this point on, we're going to keep talking to you about early voting until it's done. But here's what the best thing you can do is go to civicmedia.us/vote. In there, you will find information on how to track your ballot, how to get questions answered, and that will send you to myvote.wi.gov. We've been talking about that one for years now, honestly.
Yeah.
The great website, myvote.wi.gov. Find out who your clerk is, call that office, get the information for your municipality, because every city is going to be different from the town versus the...
Exactly.
So what we're telling you now is great, but it might not be what goes on in your municipality. So call your clerk's office to get the word, to get the actual word from your clerk.
How it works in your municipality.
Correct, because that's the best way to make sure your vote is cast and counted.
And you're not going to be a pest.
No.
This is what they do. They are there to help you.
No.
So again, according to Todd Stiles, and thank you so much for this, Todd, I'm a chief election inspector in De Pere. We just had a chief inspector meeting. We will not accept in-person absentee ballot drop-offs. They have to be dropped off at City Hall before 8 p.m. or vote in person and destroy, which is called spoiling your ballot, at the polling place. There may be some areas that allow this, but not all do. So again, as Greg said, call your municipal clerk and find out if you have questions.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, for where you live, we want everybody's ballot to count.
Yeah, and we don't want to get anyone bad information because you can vote up until November 3rd in some areas. Some you can't. Your last day to early vote might be Friday or Saturday, but that's why you got to call that clerk's office and they'll take care of you.
And again, go to civicmedia.us/vote. There's all kinds of information there that you can use, and I hope you check that out. Also from Ann Jacobs, who is the chair of the Wisconsin Elections Commission. She said in Wisconsin, ballots must be received by 8 p.m. election day, not postmarked.
Yeah, which I have a lot of opinions on, but okay.
So if you have an absentee ballot sitting on your kitchen counter, it's a good idea to use a drop box or take it to your clerk's office so you are guaranteed to get it in on time. Again, this is from Ann Jacobs, the chair of the Wisconsin Elections Commission. In Wisconsin, ballots must be received by 8 p.m. election day, not just postmarked.
And if you're hearing us in Dodge County at all, call your clerk's office. You don't have drop box availability. Same with New Berlin. Same
That's
with
right.
Brookfield. Your drop boxes have been, I'll say it, stolen from you. Actually, also Wausau too. Oh my gosh,
That's right.
It's
Oh, well,
that one's back. That
now.
one's back.
Yeah.
But the point is that not every ability to vote early is available to you. So, like we said, call that clerk's office. Get their info. That's going to be your best bet.
Yes. We want it to be accurate. And as we said, we want everyone's vote to count.
Yes.
We're all American citizens. We're all Americans. We all
Yeah.
have the right to vote.
Even a beta male like me wants you to know. I'm a beta male, and I want you to know where you can vote because I want your vote to count, my friends.
Why is that? Why is that an insult?
Because guys who are totally insecure about their own selves, it's. I'll tell you, a guy in the live stream called me a beta male. I'm fine with that.
Well, but again, why is that? Why is that considered? Ooh, ow! What?
Because the person who says it is sad and insecure inside. They have to make you feel bad. And because they listen to people like Joe Rogan, the Trump, Elon, and other people or other podcasts, that's how they think it's the best way to stick it to you.
Well,
Also, if you look it up, alpha male, not actually a thing.
well, I mean, are alpha males wrestling anacondas? I mean, is that what's the definition of an alpha then?
Well,
It's you're the manliest of manly men. So
No.
what does that all involve?
I don't know. All I know, it never is. It just means that they didn't cry enough and they didn't hug their father. That's what I'm going to think. So I personally, if anyone calls me a beta male, which I was just called, which I think is great, I take it as a badge of honor because that means that me being myself, who I am, is threatening to those who are just trying so hard to be manly and blah, 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 because they haven't been able to deal with their own crap. And I don't swear on the air often. When they can't deal with their own junk and they have to point fingers at other people and bully them, that says a lot about them. And honestly, I really hope they get help, talk to someone, get it out there in the world, because that's important. Talking to men out there, talking to you men, talk about your feelings. It's okay.
We have a couple.
And your dad doesn't know who you vote for.
That's right. Couple comments on the live stream. I'm a beta. Whoop whoop. Tony Zimmerman. It's a vibe. It's not a thing.
Yeah.
So are there alpha females and beta females, or is that just a manly man thing?
I think yes, I'm sure there is. I can't speak to that because I am not a female, and I won't speak for women because that is not a good idea. But I'm sure there is. And it all goes back to the study that was done about wolves, the alpha male of the wolf pack.
Okay.
The gentleman who wrote the book actually came out later on and said, "Oh, I was wrong. This doesn't exist. There's no alpha male," because he studied wolves, and I know this is very weird, but I'm making it connect to disintegrate their ideas.
Okay.
He studied wolves in captivity. Wolves in captivity have a different way of living.
Absolutely.
It's every person for themselves because there's no sense of survival. They're in captivity. Therefore, they're going to live every day, sleep. So, but in the wild, That's not a thing. They travel in packs. They work for each other. They work together. So there's no alpha male, quote unquote, in the wild. So the gentleman who wrote the book about it, the alpha male, alpha dog, came out and said, yeah, I was wrong.
Whoops.
Oopsie doodles. My book is completely wrong. Please don't read that book. It's wrong. Wrong information. Wrong information. Beta boy getting his day.
Which fits in perfectly with the name of this segment, which is to err is human, to offer a correction divine.
Thank you.
Which is what he did.
Oh,
Which is what the author of that book did.
Jane, we are heroes.
I would not necessarily say that. Going back to a couple election-related things before we have to go to break.
Yeah.
Matt from Germantown, chief inspector here in Germantown. If turning in an absentee ballot on election day here, bring it to the central count, which is at Village Hall. Again, call your local
Yes.
municipal clerk.
Correct.
We don't have time to go through all of the municipalities.
There's 1,800 of
Yeah,
them.
we'd be here a long time. And also Greg from Waukesha listening on WAUK. I am a beta male. I used to cry watching Full House episodes
That doesn't make you a beta male. That
when they
makes you in
couldn't
touch.
get along. Greg from the Shaw. Thank you so very much.
Miss your face, Greg.
For that, Greg. All right. When we return, remembering one of the best comedic actresses, we are going to miss her. That's all on the way. Stay close. You're listening to Matenaer On Air on the Civic Media Radio Network.
She gets mad and she starts to cry. She takes a swing, man. She can't help. She don't mean no harm. She just don't know. I've got dreams to remember.
Good morning. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and the Calvinator on the board, coming to you live from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can join us. You can call. You can text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform that Putz de Leon continues to actively ruin. Thank you, Nicole from Madison, for his new nickname. We really appreciate that. Dr. Laura Hanks will be here after the 11:30 news. We are going to talk about prostate cancer, and this is something that is very personal for her after a recent loss in her family. So we're going to talk about that. And gentlemen, if you have questions, ladies too, if you have questions, this is something that certainly affects a lot of men and just affects a lot of families.
Correct.
Because it's all part of the whole. Send in your questions to Jane Says, JANESAYS, Jane Says at civicmedia.us, and we'll see if we can't get your questions in when Dr. Laura Hanks is here. We're going to wrap up the show with This Shouldn't Be a Thing, Payless Edition. It'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. Stick around for that. We lost an icon. Terry Garr is gone at the age of 79. She had been fighting multiple sclerosis for many, many years. But she was just iconic in the 70s and the 80s.
Yes.
She was just such a part of so many great films. She was in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which I think is one of the first times she landed on my radar. And, of course, the one for which I think she's probably best known, which that was her first film role, was in Young Frankenstein.
Was that her first?
That was her first film role, I believe.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that. For me, Terry Garr will always be Mr. Mom. She's the wife.
Oh, she was the wife of Mr. Mom.
Yeah,
too.
she played Michael Keaton's wife, who goes back to work and
220, 221, whatever it
whatever
takes.
it takes. You want a beer? It's 7:30 in the morning. Scotch.
We have a clip of the wonderful, iconic Terry Garr. Calvin, let's play a little clip.
Hello. Would you like to have a roll in the hay?
That's it.
She was so. There are outtakes you can find on YouTube from Young Frankenstein. I highly encourage you to go look those up if you're looking for a laugh.
You have Terry Garr, Cloris Leachman, and Madeline Kahn in one film. I mean, yes, Gene Wilder and Peter Boyle and
Marty Feldman.
Marty Feldman. They're great. They're wonderful, hilarious.
Yes.
God rest all of them now. Actually,
yes,
they're all gone.
Someone put that on Twitter yesterday.
Oh
that
my God.
There is some great party going on in heaven with that cast reunited.
Oh my God.
The entire cast of Young Frankenstein.
But those women are so funny. I mean, and Mel Brooks, to his credit, used them in all these other films
Yes.
of his, just brought the like, I think Tracy Ullman said in an interview with someone like Terry Garr, and that he didn't just think that funny women had to be bumbling or gangly or ugly, quote unquote. They could be sexy and funny. They were smart. He trusted them. And those three women in that film shine.
Yeah, they really do. It's where, hey, Halloween is tomorrow.
Yeah.
Grab Young Frankenstein and do a family watch of Young Frankenstein. Truly a classic and one of my favorite movies of all time.
Would you like an Ovaltine? Sorry, we could just, for the rest of the half hour, we could just quote this film. Oh,
yeah,
my goodness.
We could do it. Yeah, we could finish out the show with,
Exactly.
with just doing one-liners from Young Frankenstein. Again, we're remembering Terry Garr, who passed away yesterday at the age of 79. She had a long fight with multiple sclerosis. But I do think that, again, she tends to get overlooked. And I saw someone say yesterday, too, because she was in Tootsie.
Yeah.
With Jessica Lange and Dustin Hoffman and Bill Murray.
Yep.
And she probably should have won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah.
For that film. But Jessica Lange was in the same category. And she probably should have been in for Best Leading Actress.
Yeah, I think that, it's the thing with Terry Garr is that she really had like you said, the 70s and the 80s were her time to shine. And unfortunately, and I don't use this term with any disrespect, but we kind of forgot about her, which sucks.
Well, she got sick.
Well, even still, like even in the 90s, she wasn't in as many movies, and she hosted Saturday Night Live 3 times in quote unquote their golden years.
Oh,
those
really?
first 5 years. Yeah, I mean she was She was just so funny.
Another one I forgot about. She was in the movie Oh God with George Burns.
That's right.
She was John Denver's wife.
John.
Completely forgot about that.
Okay, we're watching some Terry Garr movies tomorrow night. Yeah, because she was an absolute
joy,
and she was so funny. And yeah, I'm really it's a bummer she is gone. And like you said, she was suffering for a long time. But
what a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful actress. Just brought so much joy to all of the roles that she played, and a realness to her. There was just a realness to her that I think people could relate to.
Actually, her first movie was not Young
It wasn't Young
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
It was Damsel in Distress in the Monkees movie Head, which is a cult classic that no one in this building but me has heard of. So,
The Monkees?
the Monkees did a movie.
The Monkees band?
Yeah, they did a movie that did not go anywhere. They were like, we can remember how like they were put together by Hollywood,
Yes.
and like Neil Diamond, Carole King, and Neil Sedaka wrote their songs.
Yes.
Of course, they thought one day, you know what? We can do this ourselves. We'll make a record that nobody bought. We'll make a movie that everyone hated.
Wow, I'm going to have to look that up.
She was in it.
All right. Watch Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And remember Terry Garr with some laughs.
The Conversation. That's
Another
right.
good film. We have news coming up next. And then when we return, Dr. Laura Hanks will be here for public service announcement. If you have a question for the doctor, email it in to Jane Says, JaneSays, Jane Says at civicmedia.us. Stay close. You're listening to Matenaer On Air on the very same Civic Media Radio Network.
I don't want you to ever leave. Girl, you just satisfy me. Ooh-wee. Ooh, yeah. I know you said he was just a friend, but I saw you kiss him again and again. These eyes of mine, they don't fool me. Why did he hold you so tenderly? I've got dreams to remember. Listen to me, mama. I've got dreams.
Good morning and welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Sweet Cal B on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. You can call, you can text. The number is the same, 855 752 4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform that used to be Twitter. Coming up around 11:51, we'll wrap up the show with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Today it is the Payless edition. It'll be worth it. Stick around. And a reminder, Dominic Salvia takes to the airwaves from 4 to 6 p.m. across the network. He will be joined today by Matt Rothschild, who's host of the new Wisconsin Forward podcast. You should check that out.
Yeah.
He will be the co-host for the evening. And then they're going to talk with an investigative journalist, Greg Palast, and State Rep Francesca Hong. So that's the Dom Salvia show today from 4 to 6 p.m. across the network. She joins us every Wednesday at this time for public service announcement. Dr. Laura Hanks is here. Good morning, Laura. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing good.
Excellent. We are going to talk about something that's very personal for you, and I appreciate your willingness to talk about this because you recently had a loss in your family due to prostate cancer, correct?
Yes, that's true. Some people that may have been around a couple of months ago, we had a Dr. Hanks show that was super special for me to do with my dad, who's my hero and I've looked up to my whole life, and one of the big reasons I went into medicine. The reason I was with him is because he was struggling with metastatic prostate cancer, and so we were spending a lot of time visiting, and even though he wasn't feeling well, I talked him into coming on the show because I knew it just really meant a lot to me.
And he did, and he was great. He was just,
Yeah.
he was so great. It was such a great conversation. If anyone wants to go back and listen to that, you can find it. It's all archived at our website at civicmedia.us. Click on shows, and then click on Matenaer On Air and scroll down, and you can listen to that conversation. Dr. Hanks is ×2. But
Yeah.
it was prostate cancer, and this is certainly something. One of my brothers had a scare with prostate cancer. This happens to a lot of men.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because there's really not the guidelines currently say not to screen for it in everybody, and there's just not a good way to screen for it. So in my dad's situation, his brother actually had prostate cancer, and so because of that family history, very close family history, he did ask to have screening. And the screening is a blood test where they do what's called a PSA blood level, and his was extremely elevated. And something to note is most people die with prostate cancer, not of it. And unfortunately, my dad was one of the very few that had a really high grade and an invasive prostate cancer. So, it was a good thing it caught it early. He was diagnosed way back in 2020, but then passed away earlier this month, unfortunately. But, he did find out earlier than some people do. So, reasons to get screened, as I mentioned, it is an individualized. So risk assessment is patients that are older or people that are older, African American race, and then again, as I mentioned, the family history. So if you have any of those, then it's definitely worthwhile talking to your doctor about potential screening for prostate cancer.
So screening for prostate cancer is not like screening for breast cancer and cervical cancer, which women just do pretty much routinely over the course of their lives. I may be way off base here, Dr. Hanks, but was there a point where maybe the instances of prostate cancer were, it just feels like there was, all of a sudden there was so much awareness about prostate cancer, and then there were all of these surgeries happening, and it seemed like it's kind of backed away from everybody's got to get screened for this and everyone has to have surgery, and that seems to have changed.
Exactly. And that's you're kind of hitting the nail on the head in terms of the reason why it's not universal screening is because of the harm. So many people think, oh, I just want to, check my hormones, check my PSA, check my this, check my that. But you can have falsely elevated labs, or you could have a PSA that's elevated due to like benign hypertrophy of the prostate or prostatitis, things that are, again, benign diseases, but could then send you down the road of getting all these invasive procedures that you may not have needed. So that's why we, as healthcare providers, it's very important for us to know what is recommended and what isn't. And I also obviously, well, not obviously, most of my patients don't have a prostate. I do have some trans female patients that have prostates, and we talk about kind of screening for them. But really, it's making sure that patients understand that, if this is, what are we going to do if it's elevated, and what are the potential of a false positive in their situation.
If you're just joining us, Dr. Laura Hanks is here, as she is always on Wednesdays, for public service announcement. But today we're talking about prostate cancer. Rob from Port Edwards is on the line. Good morning, Rob. I see from the notes that Calvin left that you are a prostate cancer survivor.
Yes, quite frankly, it almost took me out. I had a Gleason score of 7, which in the books is right about out there. I was outside the gland, fully involved, all of this stuff that the doctor would know about. I would suggest to folks to rely as best you can with the consult of your urologist on a PSA draw. The day of my surgery, again, I had full-blown cancer, was close to the spinal cord, and I had a normal digital exam. He said, your prostate feels fine to me. So the blood test right now, until proper genetic testing and such can do more to diagnose or predict, I think, like BRCA 1 and 2, it's not going to guarantee you have it, but you got a risk. My son has already stood up. He knows he's going to, turns 40, you get a PSA draw and get a baseline. The other thing that I would encourage folks is now it's much better than when I had all this done, radical and tomotherapy back about almost 20 years ago. There's a lot more that's come along, and really investigate things. If you do end up having to have radiation, whether it's tomo or a pinpoint, by all means consult with your radiologist, because afterwards the scar tissue is very possibly going to hemorrhage for you. I know this because this has been happening to me off and on for the last 20 years. Have a great day, folks.
Thank you so much
Thank you for the information.
for sharing that, Rob, and we hope you're okay. There is a lot there, but I think Rob made a good point in that treatments have advanced since he was diagnosed 20 years ago. Medicine continues to change. It is it is an ever evolving field.
Yep, exactly. And there's so much research going on. My dad was part of like many different trials regarding different radiation therapies and whatnot. So it's still evolving, and so staying on top of it, I think that's a great point. And he also brought up the digital rectal exam. That's also kind of falling to the wayside as well, just because, as he mentioned, it wouldn't have caught it for him, right?
It misses it, yeah.
It misses it. So, and it's obviously uncomfortable, like it's not, so we don't really, that's not, generally done as much anymore, where the PSA, as he mentioned, can be helpful. And for, his son, obviously, with having that family history, going to be important for him to talk to his doctor about that and having that level drawn when he's older. Currently, the guidelines we use, the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force puts out guidelines, and they recommend screening that start till 55 to 69 years old. They recommend against it in the general population, but it is individualized, and to have that discussion with your doctor if you are at risk for it.
See, that's for me. I will turn 47 in about a month and a half, and I get people saying, you're past 40, you got to get it done. Then people say 45, and then people say 50, and it's very confusing, because I went to the last time I went to the doctor. He, not the best doctor in the world. My first and last time there, he was not good. He literally just went, we'll do it another time. And I'm like,
I'm here. I'm
right here. I mean, and you don't have to do it right in this moment. I mean, I get that, but like a little bedside manner, a little advice, he just didn't seem to care. And so when you have all these non-doctors saying you got to do it at this point, and then you have a doctor who goes, meh, then it's just really confusing. And while prostate cancer isn't in my family, I have cancer in my family, and I want to be prepared for as much as I possibly can.
Sure.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what I brought up with my dad as well. Like prostate, obviously I don't have a prostate, but it is linked to certain genetic things such as BRCA, which is one of the genetic things that can predispose you to breast and ovarian cancer. So I was like, I need to see your genetic results. We've got us strong with his brother, and my grandmother had breast cancer. And so, luckily that all the genetics are negative. But what's also important that a lot of people don't realize is that his genetic results are important for me. So I don't necessarily need to get genetics run. Again, this is all discussion with your doctor and a geneticist and whatnot.
Mhm.
But because his and my uncle's were negative, the likelihood that mine will be negative is high. That being said, there's new syndromes being discovered every day. And so
Sure.
like having
Yeah.
that ongoing discussion. And to your point, Greg, just to circle back to what you were saying with your doctor, all these guidelines are available at your fingertips. So your doctor should be, and I do this often with patients if I'm like not quite sure what the current, because for the cervical like pap smear guidelines just changed again. They change every 5 minutes. So I pull it up right in front of me and I'm like, okay, this is what we do now. And it's all right there. And so these guidelines are changing because of new research, and that's the point. But being able to pull it up and go through it with patients, I think, is really important.
Well, and I think another thing, and we talked about this with Dr. Lyerly before you started taking over the segment, Dr. Hanks, just about, and maybe it was just my experience, but for a long time I felt like I can't break up with my doctor. But you can if you have an experience and you don't. It's like meeting with a therapist for the first time. If you don't hit it off and you don't feel like this is going to be productive, then find another doctor.
Yeah.
Find another
Right.
health.
Yeah.
Find another
Please.
therapist. Don't feel obligated because you had one appointment that now you can't break up.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and I tell patients that all the time. I'm like, if you don't feel like you're getting what you need or this isn't, working, I will not be offended. And I will actually give you recommendations for other doctors because you
Yeah.
need to be
Yeah.
able to trust your doctor. You need to be able to feel like you're taking part in that shared decision making. It's super important.
And it's a very individualistic thing. For a while there, my husband and I were both seeing the same doctor, and I loved her, and she drove him crazy. So it's like, oh, good. Then go find someone that does not make you
Yeah.
crazy.
Exactly.
Dr. Laura Hanks joins us on Wednesdays for public service announcement. If you ever have a question, you can email it in to Jane Says, JANESAYS. Jane Says at civicmedia.us. 6 days to go. Dr. Hanks, how are you feeling?
Good. I mean, I sent in my absentee ballot. I may or may not have gotten some VIP tickets for somebody's rally tonight.
Ah,
Oh,
nice.
I was like, for who is she on the Eras tour right now? I
Well,
don't know.
there is rumors that one Taylor Swift, she's on a break right now, and Beyonce was at the last one, and all her friends are gonna be here. So
That would really be something.
I'll die. I won't be here next week because I'll be done.
No, we need you back here, Dr. Laura Hanks, from Public Service Announcement. Thank you so much, Laura. We will see you next week.
Sounds good. Bye, guys. Have a good rest of your week.
Stay with us. This shouldn't be a thing. Coming up next, Payless Edition. You're listening to Matenaer On Air on the vast, countrywide, statewide, global. If you're on the app, Civic Media Radio Network.
I have this dream, my daughter-in-law kills me for the money. She thinks I left them in the will. The family gathers around and reads it, and then someone screams out, she's laughing up at us from hell. It's me, I am the problem, it's me, I am the problem, it's me. Hi. Everybody agrees, It's me. Hi. I'm the problem, it's me. I'm the problem, it's me. Time. Everybody
Good morning. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Caliente on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. Call or text. The number is the same, 852... No. 855-752-4842. My name is Jane. Or you can leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Don't forget, after the 12 o'clock news, Todd Alba out on the road at the Norski Nook in Osseo.
Oh, boy. Get up high.
Go get a pie. Go say hello. He's there with Trygve Olsen and Reed Galen, and they're doing a tour across the state. What makes Wisconsin great? So make sure you check that out right after the 12 o'clock news. And join us tomorrow because we have Michelle Velasquez from Planned Parenthood Advocates of Wisconsin is going to be here.
Yes.
Ben Wickler, the chair of the Wisconsin Democratic Party, will be here.
Yep.
Well, with 5 days to go tomorrow, 5 days to go to the election. J.R. Radcliffe talk all things sports balls. And then where we are right now, it's 11:52. Calvin, that means it is time for...
This shouldn't be a thing.
If you ever have a thing that should not be, send it in to Greg and me at Jane Says at civicmedia.us, JANESAYS. Jane Says at civicmedia.us. Today's This Shouldn't Be a Thing from Indiana, 51-year-old Larry Savage Jr., who was a candidate in the Republican 5th District primary earlier this year. He didn't get elected. He was arrested earlier this week by authorities in Madison County, Indiana, and charged with destroying, misplacing a ballot, and theft.
Boy.
Huh. Seems like someone was trying to mess with the election.
Yeah.
So here's what happens.
And he's a Democrat, right? Of course,
no,
because
he
he's a cheater.
He's a
Democrat.
Republican. He was a Republican, running for a as a Republican in office. Yeah, according to this, on October 3rd, they held testing voting machine display that was open to the public.
Yeah.
So people who have questions about election integrity could come and see the process.
Yeah.
And be part of the process. They were allowed to run test ballots through the machines that were assigned to their county. So Mr. Savage Jr. was one of the ones who showed up. Tragically for him, it was being live streamed and recorded. So he was caught on video showing Savage handling 2 ballots. He can also be here confirming with an election official these are absolutely, totally real ballots. Then he looks around the room, folds them up, and puts them in his bucket.
Why would he do such a thing?
Then just after that, he leans over and says to a woman, oh, this count's all screwed up. The count's going to be screwed up. Trying to, again, encourage people to believe that there's shenanigans going on when there aren't.
There is shenanigans going on.
He's shenanigan.
He's shenaniganing.
Yes, that Larry is doing that. So, yes, Larry was also caught on camera outside of this building. Buddy of his patting him on the back, and they're having a good laugh, and they jump in their cars and drive away. So the police show up at Larry Savage's home. He did admit taking the ballots before officers even finished reading the warrant. Quote, you talking about the ballot the lady told me I could take. I got the paper you're talking about. I just rolled it up and put it in my pocket. I wasn't trying to steal from nobody. This is all political BS.
Ah, yes.
When he was told security video did not show Savage ever asking permission to take the ballots, he admitted he didn't. He told officers he thought he could take the ballots because they were marked sample. Quote, if you go to Payless or go wherever, it says you sample, and you usually can take a sample. So that's the way I took it. I thought they were fake effing ballots. Payless gives samples of shoes?
So that was the thing is like we're walking down this walkway of information. It's very weird. It's very dark and dusty, and we don't understand what's going on because this guy is not there and he's stealing and he's causing voter fraud. But you know what? We're Democrats. We're cheaters, I guess, according to Ron Johnson. Point is, all of a sudden he says samples like Payless, and that's when you see a new hallway. You're like, wait a second. What's down here? Because this is some new insanity I've never heard about.
If you have a Payless shoe store in your neighborhood that gives out free samples, I want to know how this works.
You get one.
You get one left.
Yep. You know how it's like BOGO, buy one, get one?
So you get one left shoe and then a different right shoe?
It's the opposite with that. So instead of buy one, get one, it's you get the right one for free and you pay twice as much for the one left one. That way it evens itself out.
He has told a local news reporter he does not mean to hurt anyone. I'm just trying to fight for our country.
Join the military then.
At no time did I actually think this was a real ballot. I didn't mean to hurt anybody. I didn't do anything with malintent. I love the people that serve. I'm an elected official. I would never do anything to hurt anybody. The truth is going to come out. I'm an innocent man. They saw you on camera.
Yeah, and you
Take
boasted.
the ballots.
You boasted.
Well, if you ever hear of a shoe store, doesn't have to be Payless. Any shoe store that's giving away free samples, please tell me. I would like to know. Thank you, Greg and Calvin and all of our engineers and everyone across Civic Media. Without you guys, nothing works. Thank you most of all for calling and for texting and for listening. It absolutely means the world. I hope you find some joy today. You get the chance to share it. News is next. Keep it here on the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll see you tomorrow.